Should I tell my brother-in-law to be that his wife confessed to me that she's cheated on him? Just some background. My fiance has 5 older brothers. Their ages range from 35 to 27, with my fiance being 25. They were all either married or in pretty committed relationships. The 6 of us women are pretty close. Their ages all range from 34 to 25, with me being 23. We usually get together about once a month to drink, gossip, and catch up. I'm decently close with my fiance's brothers as well. Depends on which ones. I am decently close with his oldest brother as well, because my fiance and I lived with them when we were between leases briefly the past 2 summers. So anyways, to the important stuff. The oldest brother Joshua is married to Jenny. Jenny is a bit of a controlling drama queen out of us ladies. Joshua is one of the kindest and most trusting guys I have ever met. Jenny does not deserve him. Last week Jenny called me while I was at work. She left a voicemail that said to call her ASAP. I called her when I got off. She was upset because someone broke up with her. I originally thought Joshua left her. No, as it turns out, she had a man that wasn't Joshua that she was hooking up with a dude, and this dude found out she was married and broke up with her. We met for a drink and she told me about this entire relationship she had with him that had been going on for a while. It was shocking. I feel like I should tell Joshua, but I don't want to be that person. He deserves to know though. I would consider myself closer to Joshua than to Jenny, but I don't want to be the one to tell or cause drama. It's such a shitty situation and I have no idea what to do. I need to tell him right. If my fiance was cheating on me and one of his brothers found out, I would want him to tell me. But how do I do that without it seeming like I am just trying to start drama? Wife confessed to fornication. It's truly amazing how the PME can just go off and break God's rules to get what they want, which is you out of their lives. Self-righteous ass hats. She came and told me with a JW friend of hers. I got in her face and told her that even when not believing and losing my faith, I still treated her more Christian-like than she did me. They said she got publicly reproved, and I noticed after the meeting later that night she took down her Facebook page. Is that something the elders tell reproved JWs to do now? Not sure why she would take down her page. Still amazed how these PMs just turn their back on POMOs and treat them as dead. How to forgive the lie. Wife confessed to ons 9 years ago, pre-marriage. Seeking advice, my wife finally broke down on Monday morning and confessed that she trickle-truthed me about spending the night at her ex-boyfriend's house 1 month into our exclusive relationship 9 years ago. For 9 years, she told me she went over there to talk/find closure and swore they never had sex. My gut always felt something was off. But when I asked about it, she always gaslighted me into believing I was crazy, insecure, needed to drop it, believe her, etc. I probably asked her about it 20 times over the course of 9 years. My fault for not listening to my gut and calling it quits earlier. Sure. But here we are 9 years later, married with a kid. She confessed on Monday morning through sobbing tears. She told me she didn't just fall asleep on the couch that night like she told me. They had sex one final time and she never told me about it. They were together for 7 years and we started dating only a month after they broke up. Looking back, I can almost sympathize with the cheating. It makes sense. She cheated on her 4-week boyfriend with her ex-lover of 7 years one last time for closure. How do I know it was the last time? The day after she cheated, she told him we were together and he lost his shit. He started stalking her and she got a restraining order against him. I trust her that was the last time. So yes, I do forgive her cheating. I'm a very sexual person. Would I possibly have done the same? Cheat on my rebound fling with my long-term ex in a state of confusion and sadness? There's a good chance. I'll say that. What I'm having a hard time getting past is the lying. She lied to me for 9 years about this and made me feel like the crazy one. She told me she was scared shitless about telling me, wanted to take it to the grave to avoid hurting me, and that it was a constant source of extreme anxiety for her the entire time. Also that the longer she went without telling me, the worse it was. She knew I deserved the truth but knew that if she told me, she was certain she'd lose me. So here we are, 9 years in, with a kid, and I'm trying to forgive the deceit about this single issue. I don't want a divorce. Really don't want a divorce. I want to move on because if we were to erase this from our playbook, everything else is pretty much perfect. Any tips for releasing this resentment I hold toward her for lying this whole time about that incident? Thank you. Wife confessed to cheating 2.5 years ago. Life just became far too complicated, so my wife of 3.5 years tells me last night that after we were married and talking about actively trying for kids, she had a one night stand with a random from the internet who had been flirting with her. When asked why, she came out with a bunch of stuff about not feeling that she'd still be desirable after kids, some kind of weird way of testing that it should be me that she should be with, etc. Basically, a bunch of really selfish things. Apparently, she felt it was a mistake as soon as it happened, and she's been trying to bury it without success. It keeps haunting her. Now, there's a fair age difference between us, 44 27F, and we have a 20 old child. I'm utterly devastated, having my trust betrayed, and any future that was being worked towards has vanished from my eyes. All I see is a wasteland and feel like I'm without any real options due to COVID wiping out any savings. I'm racked by anger and grief. There's a session with a counselor lined up to see if there's anything to salvage. Nobody's perfect, I'm sure as hell not, but FFS, surely there's less destructive ways to get validation. The story of the man who mistook a bug body for his dead wife confesses to her murder, but body isn't her. Found. Can anyone help me find this story, or has anyone else heard of this story? I heard this story so long ago but now can't find it. So this older guy, I think was in the UK but not sure, lived out on a reasonable sized piece of land that had a bog, very wet piece of land which things can sink into. One day, some poppy found a dead mummified body in the bog. When police and forensics arrived, they questioned the man who lived there, and he immediately confessed that the body was his wife that he killed years ago. So he's taken into custody and the body is taken to be analyzed. Turns out the body is the mummified remains of an old settler from whichever period of time and not his wife. I can't find the story anywhere, but I remember it so well as it's so crazy. Has anyone else heard this story? Does anyone know anything about it? I'm pretty sure I didn't dream it. Wife confesses on the same night we married that she cheated on me 2 years ago. Infidelity, I need opinions and advice. We've had a very good relationship and she says I'm perfect and she's so sorry, blah blah. She claims it was just thrilling for her. My wife cheated on me with another woman. Here is how she says it went down. 2 years ago, she was planning a trip to a spring with her friends. The day before the trip, they asked her if she was interested in a threesome. Interestingly enough, she sent me a text telling me what they had asked her. I was suspicious that she still wanted to go, and questioned her. We began to have a very heartfelt conversation on how she would never do something like that. I trusted her and left it at that. Today, she is pregnant and we recently got married. On the same night we married, she decided she was going to tell me then what she had done. She had agreed to the threesome but claims she backed out while nude and kissing a girl in the shower and told the girl it didn't feel right because she was with me. But get this, she says after she decided it wasn't right, she had left the girl nudes for her to keep and left. And the girl drove her back. I personally think more happened and she is scared to tell me. But I have been trying to make her as comfortable as possible to talk. I've never seen her capable of lying this badly and for so long. The duration of the lie is what bothers me THS most. And of course, when she decided to tell me. How should I deal with this? How would you? I've been lied to for 2 years and the audacity this asshole has to wait until after I'm legally married to her. Reddit, what do you think happened? What would you do? How would you feel? Thanks for your time. Also, I'm typing on mobile and I absolutely hate it. Excuse my typos. TL Doctor, my wife cheated with me on a woman and I think more happened, but she's afraid to tell me and IDK how to feel as well. Wife confessed she doesn't feel anything during sex since she gave birth. Finally had a long talk about how infrequently we have sex. She confessed that she just doesn't get nearly as much out of it since she gave birth to oldest. We have 7 years ago. She never wanted biological kids but had them because I wanted biological kids. Not sure what to do with this information. Any way to get the sensation back? Wife confessed I turned her off sexually. My wife, 34, and I, 35, are going through a difficult patch due to what I believe is years of communication issues. Basically, we have a dead bedroom situation where I get it many 3 times per year for the past 5 years. Same age as our daughter. I had always believed she had a low drive after giving birth. So I suffered in silence because begging for sex doesn't lead to more sex. I would only try initiating if I could tell she was in a good mood and I wasn't too tired from my job and all the household chores. I tried progressively less over the years till I stopped caring anymore. She might have initiated one time in those 5 years that I picked up on. So all this came to head when I caught her emotionally cheating with some guy online and confessed how horny she had been for years because I won't touch her. Of course, I confronted her about it and she tells me she didn't enjoy sex with me. I didn't last long enough and I wasn't adventurous enough. Now I'll admit I was a two-pump chump for the past few years, but come on, I only got sex 3 fucking times a year, lol. She said from day one I basically was bad in bed. I can handle that, but she never actually told me till she let it fester for 10 years. She hoped I would come around, but how when I thought she liked it, she would always come and appeared satisfied. Never complained. For years I thought my wife had low libido from childbirth and birth control. Now I find out the problem all along was she didn't like sex with me. So we started something drastic, 30-day sex challenge. We are trying to have sex for 30 straight days because we both want and need it. Plus this should help me last longer in bed. Problem is we're on day 4 and last night she said she hates having sex with me. That I turned her off. She loves and desires sex. She is literally horny all the time and would fuck a stranger but not me. She still wants to try this 30-day challenge out because she doesn't want to lose her home and family. I'm not feeling very optimistic about it though. Now you read reviews online and couples swear by this tactic. It's just I don't feel she loves me at all anymore. Not sure what to do. Honestly, as much as I would love sex with her for 30 days, hearing her say I turned her off really kills what little mood scheduled sex has. I can't even get into it now. As much as I hate to think, this relationship has run its course, based on pure lack of communication. If she would have feelings for me again, I'd stay, no question. I'm just afraid her love for me has faded so much that she's never going to feel emotionally attached. She doesn't want hugs or kisses from me even when she tells me that's what she's missing. My hands are tied. Wife confessed to cheating and it raises new questions. My wife and I have been married for 4 years. When we had been dating for 15 months, I found out she was seeing a guy. I took her back on the stipulation she didn't have sex with him. We were married 5 years later, and for the past 10 years she denied having sex with this guy. At a drunken family gathering, she confessed she had sex with this guy. She claimed to recall no details and says they had sex 2 or 3 times. Her confession raises another incident from 5 years ago. She told me she didn't want to be with me anymore, and for a period of 3 weeks she began going out with her younger sister 3 nights a week. Without fail, she always disappeared from 1-4 a.m. When we reconciled for no reason whatsoever, she mentioned hanging out with a guy. To add insult to injury, she claimed she hung out with him because he reminded her of her ex. The messed up aspect of this was the guy was her younger sister's hookup, and my wife knew this. For the last 5 years she's refused to discuss details of this and claims she doesn't know why she mentioned the guy. 3 years ago I heard he was bragging to a friend of mine he had sex with my wife. 2 years ago my wife's older sister's husband made a comment about this guy, implying this guy had sex with my wife and her 2 younger sisters. My wife denied it and said the guy did have sex with her 2 younger sisters and even gave the youngest one an STD. With this new info I have focused on her mentioning this guy 5 years ago. I feel there is no way there wasn't another guy, but she maintains there wasn't. She finally confessed she did have a crush on this guy, but nobody knew, including the guy. I haven't been able to let it go, and my wife finally confessed she was crushing on the guy, but nobody knew it. The twisted aspect of this crush is my wife was willing to break up with her BF of 6 years and neglect her child in hopes of seeing a guy her sister was having sex with. I can't let this go. I need opinions. I recorded my wife confessing to her affair last night. I simply don't know what to say, how to feel. Please bear with my English, which is not my first language. So, I have been married to this girl for 2 years. We have been in a committed relationship for 10 years. We are in a long distance marriage. I get to see her for 2 months per year. I have been suspicious about her relationship with a particular male friend for years now. Recently, I found out that they have been having an affair. Needless to say, it completely destroyed me. My wife is filled with guilt and remorse and has been so for the last 3/4 months. That's what she tells me. The funny thing is that she admits that before our marriage they were just very good friends, but things took a turn in the wrong direction after our marriage. I don't know if I am an asshole or not. Maybe I am. But last night, I secretly recorded our conversation where she clearly confesses to everything. I don't know why I did it. We have obviously talked about divorce, but since we don't have kids, it should be relatively hassle free if we actually go through with it. She has also promised me that she will not demand anything from my side if the divorce finally happens. So I probably will not need to prove her infidelity in court, ever. But still, I recorded her confession. Thanks for listening to my idiotic and boring words. I just had to get this off my chest.